The 2024 election was surprising to people for many reasons, but I think this was the biggest surprise of all. Apparently, 47% of young people voted Republican this time. Previously, it was always around 33, 35%. This is the first time in a long time that it's been 50-50. What happened? What happened this time? What was so different that didn't happen before? A big part of it is the economy. There's no denying it. Young people care about the economy. They want to do well in their jobs. They're starting out. But another reason is the internet. This new form of communication where all young people get their information, and it's a platform that Trump completely, fully took advantage of. He made appearances on podcasts, YouTube channels, gaming live streams. He took complete and full advantage of this new medium that was untapped previously by politicians. And that's why he won big. Before that, though, here's a few interesting statistics. Around 50 million people in the country are ages 18 to 29. So it's a huge, huge group of people, many millions. And about 42% of them are eligible to vote. So again, huge group that I think was previously untapped because the internet is where they get their information, right? And no one was there. Another reason he won is the people who are 18 today couldn't vote 4 years ago. The people who are 22 today just turned 18 last time. So anyone who's younger than 22 is a new voter, a first-time voter. And if you look at the first-time voter stats, that went way up and for Republican. A lot of new people registered to vote just to vote for Trump. And I'm sure a good number of them were young people. And if you think about it, I think around 8 million people turned 18 since the midterms in 2022. That means millions more than 8 million turned 18 since 2020. So this is like a big chunk of the country that are just new voters. And if you think about these people who are 18, 19, 20, they were in middle school or even elementary school in 2015 when he was first running. To a middle school boy, like a young guy, someone like Trump who says, grab her by the pussy, or who only Rosie O'Donnell, if you remember the only Rosie O'Donnell comment, that's hilarious to a kid, right? So these kids grew up with Trump. They grew up liking him. He's more of an anti-hero to them than a bad guy. His charm got to him, and it took 8 years for it to pay off, but it paid off, and it paid off hugely, as you saw. It's very fascinating what's happened. This is definitely a story for the history books. So the internet is where people got their information, and the old media, the legacy media and news organizations are completely out of touch. They're the old thing. No one listens to them anymore. A few people who are maybe middle-aged or kind of a little older, maybe they watch it. Maybe they watch cable news, or maybe they watch late night. Who knows? But it's not as relevant in today's society. It's just not. Kamala went up on SNL and thought it would be a big deal, and the media hyped it up so much. Not a big deal anymore. SNL is not relevant. It's not the thing today that's big. Or no one listens to celebrity. No one listens to Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't make big movies. They have a couple Avengers movies here and there that are hyped up and do really well, but they're not the only show in town, right? There's the internet. There's Joe Rogan. There's podcasts. There's YouTube channels. There's Mr. Beast. There's so many places to get your information and to get your entertainment. Celebrities don't carry the weight they used to. No one cares. Remember that picture back in 2015 that broke the internet of all those celebrities at the Oscars? If that happened today, that would be like, it wouldn't be relevant for a day. People would dismiss it just like that. It wouldn't be a big deal. This also applies to musical artists. Taylor Swift, J-Lo, Cardi B, all these big stars made these big endorsements. No one cares. Their music is not relevant anymore. They were big maybe 2015, 2016 at the latest. Before that, they were big. But now, music is been completely taken over by the internet, right? Think about the last song, the last song you heard that you actually liked that came out recently? Think about it. The last song, the most recent song that came out that you actually enjoyed, was it from Taylor Swift? Was it from Cardi B? These guys are irrelevant. They're irrelevant. There's so many other places you can get music. There's so many people streaming on Spotify. The internet has completely taken over. It's the new medium. And the person who takes advantage of that gets to win. That's what history has taught us, that the president, the candidate to take advantage of the new medium wins hugely. We saw this with FDR back in the 1930s. He took over with radio. He did these things called fireside chats to the American people. You know, they were struggling during the Depression, and he would get on the radio and tell them a few kind, comforting words, give them a few updates, and they were called fireside chats. He would sit by a fireplace and talk about the economy and that things would be okay. People loved it. It was all over the radio, and people loved it. We saw this again with JFK in with television, right? Television was new in the 1960s, and he was the first president, I think, to do press conference on TV. He was the first president to do a presidential debate on television. And that's why he won the first debate, because he knew how to look in front of the camera, how to present himself. The opponent he was against, Nixon, didn't do that well in that debate. It's interesting, people who listened to that debate on radio said Nixon won because he had better words. But those who were watching on television said Kennedy won because he knew how to present himself in this new medium. So the person who takes advantage of the new thing, the most cutting edge technology in communication, ends up winning hugely. And that's what you just saw. That's what you witnessed. This is a trend that's here to stay. Candidates in the future are going to be they're going to be making more and more appearances on the internet. If you thought what Trump did was a lot, just wait till 2028. Every podcast, you're going to see presidential candidates sitting next to YouTubers promoting their merch while talking next to the president. It's going to be ridiculous, but you're going to see it because this is the future. This is the way things are. Cable, news, legacy news, late night, celebrities, Hollywood, irrelevant. They're gone. They don't, it's a thing of the past. They're like radio stars or like silent movie stars. They're gone. Some of them will stay, don't get me wrong. These news channels and newspaper organizations will still exist, like Wall Street Journal and New York Times. They'll be doing their own thing, but their power is seriously diminished in this new landscape. It's a great thing because it really democratized information. Now anybody can go out into the public and explain what they're thinking. They can share what's going on in their life. They can tell the truth. There's no longer a centralization of media where there's only a few people, a few editorial boards at companies, or a few studio executives at places like NBC or wherever they are that control the information you get to see. This is a great thing for this landscape. It's a great thing for free speech. It's a great thing for information, the freedom and flow of information. We're living in a new age, and I'm very excited about it. What else? Just for the fun of it, let's take a look at some of these late night hosts. Let's just watch them, because why not? Let's have something to laugh at.
Ow! Jimmy, we need you. We need you to help us get through this. You have a very important voice.
I do?
No, you don't.
You're right. I need to stay here. We have unfinished business. What's with the suitcase?
I'm going back to Mexico. You on your own, buddy.
I gotta be fair, that was kind of funny though. That's kind of a funny bit, right? He's packing up. This guy gives him a patriotic little bit about, oh, help the country, and then he leaves. That's pretty funny. You have to give credit where it's due.
This Donald Trump, is like the Emperor from Star Wars. He's old, he's evil, and he keeps coming back with no reasonable explanation whatsoever.
And that's another thing. Why do they pander? Right, it's a comedy show. Late night is supposed to be comedy. Same thing with SNL and all the other shows out there. They're supposed to be comedy, but every joke, increasingly, the jokes are followed not by laughter, but by applause. Right? They just applaud. Whoa, oh, great job. It's not even comedy. This is why they're going out of business. It's completely irrelevant. If you want comedy, you can find better stuff on the internet. If you want commentary, if you want the truth, if you want news, you can find better stuff on the internet or through another source, whatever it is. Not this. It's irrelevant. And take a look at the audience. It looks so old, too. Even the audience is, look at it. It's not, again, not to insult them or anything, but it's an older demographic, right? Silver-haired people just sitting in their chairs. Oh, it's a dinosaur industry. It's over.
Our 7-year-old Billy comes down the stairs and he says, "What's going on?" And my wife says, "Well, Donald Trump won." And he goes, and I have to say
It's just cheering. It's pandering. You say something that the audience, and they cheer and cheer. And didn't late night used to be nonpartisan? With, Johnny Carson and Letterman, and Conan is still out there. I don't think he's doing anything this bad, this partisan. The old school guys, they used to be just entertainers. We don't want to hear your political drivel. Just entertain us. Make jokes. When did it become like this? I don't know.
let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech.
Oh, really? Really? Free speech? They are the last people who should be talking about free speech. The Twitter files, right? I try not to get political, okay? I'm trying to make this more about the media than about the actual who's right and wrong. But if you want to talk about free speech, come on. You guys are not on the right side.
And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
So unbelievably out of touch. So this is why they lost. And this is why legacy media, it's a dying industry. Cable television, late night television. And this is why they are going irrelevant. It's just so utterly out of touch. You're just pandering to your base, not entertaining anybody. I mean, what is this? 74 million people voted for the guy. You might as well just say, look, maybe there was something that I'm missing. Maybe there's something that you guys noticed that I don't. Try to be a little bit reasonable, right? I mean, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Or maybe the only good part of all this is he can't run again in 2028. I don't know. Maybe next time.
All right. I think that's enough. We don't have to see any more. I think you get the gist of it by now. Petty, in denial, completely out of touch, not entertaining. These guys are dinosaurs. They're in a dinosaur industry that's over. It's just not going to exist anymore. I think by the end of the decade, it's gone. And that's that. That's the end of legacy media. And in comes the new media of the internet. It's a thing as old as time. Out with the old, in with the new. That's just the new normal now. I'm excited for it. I'm sure you are too. If you're watching this on the internet, you must be excited for it. It's the way of the future, and I welcome it. Thank you.